Have you ever wondered why some people understand money, while others spend their whole lives struggling with it? Why do some people earn a lot yet never feel secure, while others earn less but live peacefully? If money were only about intelligence, the most educated people would always be the richest. If money were only about hard work, then the hardest working people would be the wealthiest. But the psychology of money teaches us that money is not just math or IQ. Money is behavior, mindset, habits, emotions, and psychology. Written by Morgan Housel, this book explains not only how money works, but why people behave differently around it. It reveals that personal finance is less about numbers and more about the invisible patterns inside the human mind. Two people can earn the same income, live in the same city, and have access to the same opportunities, yet end up with completely different financial lives. The reason is not always knowledge. The reason is behavior. The book begins with a powerful idea. No one is crazy with money. Every financial decision is shaped by personal experiences. Someone who grew up during financial struggles may value safety and savings, while someone raised in a stable environment may feel comfortable taking risks. People don't make money decisions based only on facts. They make them based on emotions, memories, fear, hope, insecurity, and life experiences. Morgan Housel explains that every person sees money through the lens of their own story. A person who witnessed unemployment in childhood may become extremely careful with spending. Another person who grew up seeing successful entrepreneurs may naturally believe in risk-taking. Both people think their choices are logical because those choices make sense according to their personal experiences. This is why judging others for financial decisions is often unfair. Everyone carries a different emotional history. Another important lesson is the role of luck and risk. We often think successful people achieved everything through hard work alone, while failures simply made bad decisions. But success and failure both involve luck and risk. Bill Gates was brilliant, but he was also lucky to have early access to computers at a time when very few people did. At the same time, many hard-working people fail because life is unpredictable. That's why humility matters in finance. The book teaches that we should never blindly copy another person's financial strategy, because we cannot copy their timing, opportunities, connections, or luck. A person may appear successful because of talent, but hidden behind every success story are factors nobody can fully control. This understanding creates balance. It reminds us to stay humble during success and hopeful during failure. The book also warns about the danger of never enough. Many people ruin their lives chasing more money, more status, and more success without ever feeling satisfied. Real wealth comes from knowing what is enough for you. Without limits, greed becomes endless. Morgan Housel shares examples of people who already had massive fortunes, but continued taking dangerous risks because they could not stop chasing more. The tragedy is that they already had enough to live safely and happily, yet they sacrificed peace and stability for unnecessary rewards. The lesson is simple but powerful. If you cannot define enough, you may spend your entire life running without ever arriving anywhere. One of the most powerful ideas in the book is compounding. Wealth is not built overnight. It grows slowly through patience and consistency. Warren Buffett became incredibly wealthy not just because he was smart, but because he stayed invested for decades. Time is the secret force behind wealth. Compounding works like planting a tree. In the beginning, growth seems invisible, but over many years, small actions create enormous results. Saving a little money consistently Investing regularly and avoiding unnecessary debt may not feel exciting in the short term, yet these habits become life-changing over time. Most people fail financially, not because they lack intelligence, but because they underestimate the power of patience. Morgan Housel also explains the difference between getting rich and staying rich. Making money often requires taking risks, confidence, and bold action, but keeping money requires discipline, patience, caution, and humility. Long-term wealth belongs to people who survive difficult times instead of chasing quick success. Many people become wealthy for a short period, but lose everything because they believe success will last forever. Staying rich requires accepting uncertainty. It requires preparing for mistakes, market crashes, business failures, and unexpected changes. The goal is not only to make money, but to protect it. Survival is one of the greatest financial skills. The book teaches that true wealth is freedom. Money's greatest value is not luxury cars or expensive houses. It is having control over your time and choices. Real wealth means being able to live life on your own terms. Freedom means waking up without constant fear about bills. It means choosing work you enjoy instead of work you hate. It means spending time with family, protecting your health, and making decisions without desperation. According to the book, the highest dividend money pays is the ability to control your own life. Another important lesson is that wealth is invisible. People often confuse expensive lifestyles with real wealth, but actual wealth is the money you save and invest, not the money you spend. Luxury attracts attention, but savings create freedom. A person driving an expensive car may look rich, but nobody can see the investments, savings, or financial security hidden inside another person's bank account. Society notices spending more than saving because spending is visible. However, invisible wealth is usually more valuable than visible status. Real financial strength is often quiet. Savings are also important because they create independence. An emergency fund protects you during difficult times and prevents panic-driven decisions. Money cannot remove pain from life, but it can reduce stress and make hard situations easier to handle. When people have savings, they gain emotional stability. They can walk away from toxic situations, survive temporary failures, and think clearly during emergencies. Financial security creates psychological strength. Without savings, even small problems can become overwhelming sources of fear. The book also explains that being reasonable is more important than being perfectly rational. A financial strategy that looks perfect on paper but causes stress and fear will eventually fail. The best financial plan is one that allows you to stay calm and consistent for years. For example, some investments may produce slightly higher returns, but also create sleepless nights and constant anxiety. In reality, a simpler plan that helps you remain disciplined for decades may produce better results. Finance is deeply emotional, and successful investing depends on behavior more than mathematical perfection. Another key lesson is that life is unpredictable. The future will always contain surprises: economic crashes, pandemics, wars, technological revolutions, and unexpected events. Instead of trying to predict everything, we should prepare ourselves through savings, patience, and flexibility. People often believe the future will look similar to the recent past, but history repeatedly proves otherwise. Unexpected events shape economies, businesses, and personal lives in ways nobody can fully anticipate. Because uncertainty is unavoidable, flexibility becomes more valuable than confidence. Morgan Housel also discusses the importance of long-term thinking. Many people make financial decisions based on short-term emotions. They panic during market declines and become overconfident during booms. But successful investors understand that temporary volatility is part of the process. Patience often creates better outcomes than constant action. The book repeatedly emphasizes that wealth is built quietly. It is usually the result of boring consistency rather than dramatic moments. Small good decisions repeated for many years can become more powerful than occasional big wins. Discipline may appear slow, but over time it becomes unstoppable. Another meaningful lesson is that comparison destroys satisfaction. In modern society, people constantly compare their lifestyles with others through social media, advertising, and public success stories. This endless comparison creates pressure to spend more, earn more, and prove more. But chasing status often traps people in cycles of stress and debt. True financial confidence comes from internal peace rather than external validation. When people stop trying to impress others, they gain freedom. They can focus on goals that genuinely matter instead of chasing temporary approval. The book encourages readers to build a life that feels meaningful to them personally, not a life designed to impress strangers. Finally, the book connects money with happiness. More money does not automatically create happiness. Happiness comes from freedom, peace of mind, healthy relationships, meaningful work, and having enough. When money becomes a tool for control and peace instead of status and comparison, life becomes more meaningful. The psychology of money ultimately teaches that financial success is not about being the smartest person in the room. It is about patience, self-awareness, discipline, emotional control, and understanding human behavior. Money is not the purpose of life. It is simply a tool to help us live a better, calmer, wiser, and more peaceful life. In the end, the book reminds us that financial peace does not come from showing the world how much we own. It comes from learning how to think wisely, spend carefully, and live freely.